Commissioner Perona.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the Church Coast Regional Plan. It seems like the information on all over Florida is very difficult to find out. It dribbles in from all different parts. And I'm happy that we have an organization that goes out of their way to make sure that everything is looked at and analyzed and it's delivered to the communities. I mean, I didn't mean to give you all that advertisement, but I'm thrilled that our constituents are constantly asking us questions, and the only answers we seem to get is through this organization. I appreciate that. Recently, Fort Pierce staff had met with FEC, FRA, FDOT, AAF on the diagnostic crossings, the railroad crossings, and one of the issues that came up that was disconcerting, just to add to the fray, is a third track that's going to be added to a lot of the downtown area to divert freight trains to sit and wait until the transportation trains come through. And a lot of these crossings that are contemplated in our downtown area. So, I mean, when we start talking about this, we've caused frustration for traffic. We've caused people taking their own ways to get around these things, either through running crossings, or trying to go over bridges, or loading up different areas of the community. So this was an interesting part, and I think we identified two of our main crossings that showed that we were going to stage a freight train there for a period of time until the speed train at 115 miles an hour come through the community. So I want to make sure that was part of the impact. I didn't even know if you mentioned that or not. I mean, you speak at 200 words a minute, and I can only hear it 120, so...
Long presentation. So, Commissioner, we have raised that issue in the past. It was raised in the EIS scoping comments that were sent to the FRA in May. If it was not overtly expressed, our apologies as staff, because it's an issue that's been consistently raised, the location of sidings, not just within downtown, but also with respect to bridges. Because if there is a synchronization to take place where a freight train slows while a passenger train is getting queued up to cross, that freight train has to slow somewhere, and that can't be a point of conflict either. There's much longer vehicles to store. So certainly, if it was not expressly raised in the staff report, Council has consistently raised that, and it certainly can be added.
Thank you. Mayor. Commissioner Perona.
Keep trying to make me mayor. You asked us for support, and I can understand that would be very important for this. You described the benefits to the state of Florida, giving us a competitive edge, taking advantage of our mobility options, the higher quality of life. But that's not the question I'm being asked as a commissioner. The question I'm being asked is, what's it going to do for our community? When I asked that question when a representative from all over Florida came to our commission meeting, and I said, what good is it going to be for our community? The gentleman said that as the trains bring these passengers through our community, they'll be able to identify the beauty and the vivaciousness of my community. And I'm thinking to myself, at 110 miles an hour, what was that? That was Fort Pierce. Oh. I don't mean to make fun of it, though. That's the questions I'm being asked as a commissioner, is what's the benefit to my community? We know what the impacts are going to be, and those impacts normally are balanced off with some type of benefit. The thought of someday maybe getting a station in Fort Pierce, that's just not good enough for me. I guess I've been in government a little bit too long to buy into that a little bit. But I really would like your thoughts on that. What do I tell the people of Fort Pierce? What do we tell our people of Indian River County or Martin County and all these other outlying areas that are going to be severely impacted by this trend? What can we tell them about their community and what benefit this is going to be to them?
So, from our standpoint, there are several benefits that Florida is going to get. And what happens is, Central Florida, South Florida are all donor counties, donor communities. Right? They give more than they actually receive because it goes to the state of Florida, then they divvy it up across the state. I don't know if Fort Pierce is a donor community or not, but I'm sure the state of Florida helps with a lot of things. So growing the pool of dollars that go to the state is an important thing for the whole state's economy. When we talk about tourism is not, the point of us connecting these two regions Believe it or not, it's actually having people traverse them, identify with them, and then, again, with every system, you don't, if I build all the systems that would not be financially viable right now, then that doesn't do, as a company, it doesn't do anybody any good, because then I would just fail at it. So if I build a system, and I grow it, and then I'm able to expand on it, which is how all rail systems are done. Rail systems, when Benny Blackman did it, he grew it to a certain point, and he kept growing it, and as demand happened, and he bought his real estate, it actually ended up having a reason for people to go there. So you've got to get the base system going. It's not, it's not mentioning if I stop in Fort Pierce, or I stop in Beer, or I stop in Stewart, right away, will that be something? I have stopped your staff. Your staff has come to my office, I've come to your office. I've had continuing dialogue. We're very serious about that dialogue. We want to make sure, and we actually are studying and looking into how Fort Pierce plays a role. So it's not just lip service, it's actual man time. And we're building real station in the places where we know the ridership today. Our whole ridership study looks at the whole corridor. If Fort Pierce grew up right there, there'd be a station in Fort Pierce today. But it didn't. It identified the station we talk now. And that's partly because the way that, again, the way that you guys are situated from a tourism perspective, you want to grow more tourism. So I think that's what I heard from your staff, is you want to grow more tourism there, and this is a vehicle for growing that. Now, we're growing it in a way where it's strategic. We're growing tourism where it is today, exploiting the fact that you can now take that stuff and exploit it for tourism, in the sense that you got Central Florida, who is not seeing passengers and tourists from South Florida, and vice versa. People go to Central Florida and don't come to South Florida. Now, if you actually have that interaction between the regions, you actually now cross-pollinate both regions and everything in between. So it's not literal, it's actually a real thing that our studies show that it has an effect on the whole corridor. So, but it's a process. It's not just here's a station for Pierce, and if you build it, they will come sort of thing. We know they're going to come because they're there today. They're saying we need an additional service. That's why this is making sense. So that's, from our standpoint, it's a process to get there. But the immediate economic impact goes to the state, and the state disperses it down to local communities, because that's how it works today.
Part of the impact, you say if I can grow my tourism in Fort Pierce and show there's a need for a station, we'll put a station there because economically it'll make sense. But the impacts that are coming from the high-speed train are against me growing my tourism, because now you've stopped all the movement from the east side to the west side.
How am I stopping the movement? I'm asking that in perspective, because the reality is you're thinking that this train is 2 miles long and moving at 110 miles an hour. This train will stop your grade crossing at a light change. That's the longest that east-west traffic will be in whole, is a light change through that grade crossing. So a light change through the grade crossing is just like a normal action of traffic. So it's not like people are backing up and saying, oh, today, Tri-Rail operates 50 trains a day in Miami West Palm. And Tri-Rail does not have an impact on traffic that you're saying I'm going to have this grid line. It's not, I'm not telling you what will happen. We will look at it today. And this is the same type of train as Tri-Rail. It's a short train that moves to the intersection quickly.
According to your 30% design plan that we just went through, staff shows that I have a third rail that where it's going to divert freight until these high-speed passenger rails, and 2 of my key crossings are going to be affected by this. So, I mean, in that way...
I put this down, and one of the things I have to get with the engineer team, because there's no reason, from what I've been working with, unless they're switching, is this near the downtown where the switching station is today? There's an overpass there, and my understanding is that it will not be blocking any grade crossing. So, I don't know if that's misinformation somebody gave you. We're not diverting freight to stay blocking grade crossings. That is not in any of the plans that we work with. Whoever told me that, I need to find out, because that's not correct information.
Well, I'm just saying,
and that's the problem. There's a lot of information coming out, and a lot of us people speculating,
right.
And what I want to do is make sure I give you the realistic information, and that's what the EIS process does. It takes all of this information from various points, puts it in one place, analyzes what's fact from fiction, and it comes out with that binding document, which is the record decision.
Well, the problem is I have to support, you're asking me for my support, and I have to be able to talk to intelligent people in my community and tell them what the benefits are going to be. to tell them that we may be getting a station way down the line once we've proven an economic impact to FEC, I don't think it's going to get the job done. And with all the impacts that you are discussing and that we know are going to happen to our community, it's going to have an effect on our government to be able to move people from one side of the track to the next. And that's going to have a dynamic effect for the tourist town that we are and we've become.
And I'd love to meet with you, but you probably discuss that. We've been here all day.
Just to sort of remind us, we're not here to, I guess, have an imposition per se, although obviously we have comments and questions for Mr. Gonzalez. Really today, the agenda item that we have is really to transmit comments to the Federal Railroad Administration in advance of the publication of the draft EIS. This is really about that action, and then obviously any comments that we provide relative to this EIS. The fact that we want them to go out to do regional workshops and do some of that. So that's really what the action is. We obviously came to give an additional update because it makes sense to have them follow Dr. Delaney's presentation. So I appreciate the time we're taking.